What if everything you've been told about carbs and muscle growth is actually wrong? What if you can build muscles without stuffing yourself with tons of rice, pasta, and oatmeal? Today in this video, I'm going to reveal the truth about low-carb diets and muscle growth. And I will show you some of the most iconic physiques that have built their phenomenal bodies on low-carb diets, like Serge, Nubret, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Vince Gironda. So if you think that carbohydrates are absolutely essential for muscle growth, then stay with me until the end of this video, and I guarantee you that your perspective will change. I'm Dr. Nash Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I have competed 46 times and won 17 titles. I've been in bodybuilding for over 40 years, and during that time, I have trained personally over 3,500 clients and helped them to change their bodies and achieved the best shape of their lives. By the way, during this time, I have managed to publish 10 ebooks, which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding, like muscle growth, fat loss, training for beginners, nutrition, lifestyle change, and similar subjects. So if you're interested in expanding your knowledge and widening your horizons, simply click in the link below in the comments and you can access my ebooks. So let us dive into the topic. Here is what we will cover today. Number one, do you really need carbs to grow muscle? Number two, how the body build muscle on low carbs. Number three, glycogen, mTOR, and anabolic signaling. Number four, real examples of golden era legends. Number five, scientific evidence. Number six, the best way to implement low-carb nutrition depending on training style. And number seven, how to avoid most common mistakes. So let us start with the traditional belief that you need carbs to grow. So for years, especially starting from 90s, the bodybuilding narrative was that you must eat high carbs in order to build muscle. So rice, oats, pasta, potatoes, and the holy trinity of bodybuilding food, that carbs are fuel, carbs spike insulin, and insulin is anabolic, and therefore carbs are essential. But there is a problem. This is very oversimplified human physiology. It's the same as like you saying, because you need petrol, you must drive a petrol truck, even if you have a Tesla. But that doesn't make sense. The body has multiple ways of fueling muscle growth. So carbs are just one of them, not the only one. So let me explain to you now how muscles grow fundamentally. So muscle growth is triggered, number one, with mechanical tension. So this is absolutely essential, and I explained it in many videos before. And you achieve that through heavy and intense training. So you need that mechanical tension for growth. Now, the number two way of triggering muscle growth is metabolic stress. Again, I explained it in many videos, previous videos, because metabolic stress, which is directly related to time under tension, accumulates lactate and causes the pump, and also triggers the growth by accumulating all other metabolites within the muscle during your exercise. Then you have muscle trauma, so micro trauma. So you need your workout has to be intense enough, and it needs to last enough in order to cause this muscle damage. The number four trigger for muscle growth is sufficient protein and essential fatty acids intake. So you see that without protein, there is no building muscle. So essential fatty acids are also very, very important for muscle growth. And the fifth trigger for muscle growth is hormonal environment. So your training and your nutrition have to be as such to trigger production of testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1, and especially if you're a natural bodybuilder. So did you notice something that I just didn't mention carbohydrates? Was that a mistake? No, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a mistake simply because carbohydrates have nothing to do with muscle growth. They simply don't trigger muscle growth. They are not essential, by the way. As you know, again, I explained in many videos before, we have essential amino acids, we have essential fatty acids. They're called essential because we have to get them through the food from outside. But everything which is not essential, the body can produce itself. So it's not necessary that non-essential components have to be taken via food. So carbohydrate is not essential. We don't have essential carbohydrates or glucose or anything like that. Everything that we need in the body can be produced from other sources. So carbohydrates are not essential. And when it comes to nutrition, muscle growth is driven mainly by protein and training intensity. So let me tell you a few words about carbs and glycogen. And this is something that most of the time most people get wrong. So the critical misunderstanding is that people believe that you must consume carbs in order to create muscle glycogen. But this is absolutely false. The human body can produce glucose and replenish glycogen to the process known as glyconeogenesis, which means that the liver converts amino acids and glycerol from fat into glycogen. And this is actually how for the 98 plus percent humans evolved around 400,000 years of evolution without eating carbohydrates. So if you think for a second that humans didn't have any glycogen in them because they didn't have carbs around, there was no pasta, bread, potatoes, oatmeal, rice, nothing like that. And here we are, after 400,000 years, still populating the planet and doing everything as we should. Unfortunately, not having great health since the introduction of agriculture. But the fact is that humans managed to replenish their glycogen stores via the process called gluconeogenesis. So once again, carbohydrates are not necessary for replenishing glycogen. Glycogen will be replenished from protein and also fat, more precisely from amino acids and glycerol from fat. Now, the next thing I want to tell you is about insulin and growth. So people often say, oh, but insulin is necessary, it's anabolic hormone, and therefore, if you don't have high levels of insulin, you will not grow. And the only way to increase insulin naturally is to eat a high carbohydrate diet. But this is absolutely not true. Yes, insulin helps transport nutrients, but high levels of insulin are not required for that, especially for muscle growth. So, by the way, whey protein can increase insulin levels more than white bread. So, just an example that you don't have to eat carbohydrates in order to increase insulin. And so high insulin levels are not necessary. You just need adequate protein and sufficient energy, which will come from fat and also protein that you eat. So let me tell you a few words about golden era case studies. So, for example, if you remember in a few videos I mentioned Serge Nubret, who was eating 5 to 6 grams of protein per day and usually less than 100 grams of carbs. So you see high protein intake, medium fat, low carbohydrate intake. For days he wouldn't eat even carbohydrates. And you know what kind of body he has managed to create with this diet. So where the glycogen came from? Serge Nubret would train twice a day, sometimes up to 4 or 5 hours. So clearly he needed glycogen for that. But where the glycogen come from when he doesn't eat carbohydrates, so just eat a little bit. Then you have Vince Gironda, who was the biggest advocate of meat and eggs diet. So Vince knew that you will achieve phenomenal results, great body, also remain lean throughout the year by simply avoiding carbohydrates and eating mainly meat and eggs. He would suggest eating a bit of carbohydrates, maybe 40, 50, 60 grams once every 4 or 5 days. But this is almost next to zero when you compare with the amount of carbohydrates that bodybuilders are eating now. Average bodybuilders, they're stuffing themselves with 400 or 500 grams of carbs every day, literally destroying their metabolic health without knowing it. But this is the story. So Vince Gironda was the one who actually advocated and taught most of those famous bodybuilders in his gym in Venice, California. And one of them also Arnold Schwarzenegger, who relied heavily on high protein, medium fat diet with minimal amount of carbohydrates. So all these bodies are clearly absolute proof that you can build fantastic physique without eating huge amounts of carbohydrates. So now let me explain what is the scientific explanation of low carb and high intensity. So when it comes to high intensity, the body uses mainly glycogen, not glucose. So you need glycogen to perform high intensity workout, nothing to do with glucose. You see people are eating rice and pasta and rice cakes or some carbohydrates before the workout, believing that these carbs will help them perform better. But this is nothing to do with high intensity workout. You're going to be using glycogen, which was stored in your body the previous day and during the night. So your glycogen stores have nothing to do with your carbohydrate intake. If you stored your glycogens via gluconeogenesis, this is all fine. You're full of glycogen and you will be performing as many people did, as I do. I didn't eat any carbs in last month, and I'm training 5 times per week, 35 sets per major muscle groups, around 1 hour per session. So how is that possible? Am I not an experiment? Am I not a human being? So if I can do it, and I'm staying lean year-round, 365 days per year, my six-pack is always there, my legs are split, people are thinking I'm getting ready for the show every time I wear shorts in the gym. But this is the only reason for that is actually my low carbohydrate diet. Again, for over a month, I didn't even touch any potato, rice, sweet potato, pasta, God forbid, bread or anything else. So here we go. When it comes again to glycogen stores, let me remind you, is gluconeogenesis. You don't need carbs for that. So low carb diets, the low carb athletes have much better insulin sensitivity than people who eat a lot of carbohydrates. This is something very important. A lot of people don't care about that. Not a lot of people don't do their blood test. Therefore, they have no idea what is their metabolic health like. So if you want to be insulin sensitive, you need to do your fasting insulin test via blood test, obviously. And that will tell you how good you are metabolically. But if you're stuffing yourself with carbohydrates, you're not going to be insulin sensitive. You're going to be insulin resistant. And this is not very good. So if you continue like that for years, you may end up getting diabetes type 2 without even knowing it by following healthy, high-carb, medium-protein, low-fat diet. So it's detrimental for your metabolic health. Remember that. And when you do next time, when you do your blood test, ask whoever is doing that, ask them to give you fasting insulin results, and also make sure that you check your HDL and triglycerides, because people with high carbohydrates diet, their triglyceride may be high and HDL can be low, especially in the people who eat low fat. So make sure that you're doing this regularly, because life is not only about a few years in pursuing some glory and chasing your dream. Life is going to last a little bit longer than that, and then you may have problems. What about building muscles on the low carb diet? So can you? Of course you can, but you must first of all train with high intensity. I explained what is high intensity in the particular video. So make sure that you don't consider intensity only lifting heavy weights, but make sure that you're doing enough sets, enough reps, and that you're doing enough time under tension in perfect form, and that considers intensity. Intensity is not just heavy weights, low reps. So remember that, because heavy weights and low reps are more like a powerlifting type of training in which your body is the means and the weights are the end. So powerlifters or weightlifters use their body in order to perform a lift. So if you want to do that, fine. I have nothing to argue against it. But if you're aiming for building muscle and burning fat at the same time, then that training system is going to be wrong for you. So also you need to hit anywhere from 2.2 to 3.5 grams of protein per kg. In some cases, especially in enhanced athletes, 4 to 5 grams of protein per kg of body weight will be sufficient. You also need to consume enough fat. So in the video in which I talk about dangers of high protein diet, the number one danger is that people fail on high protein, low carb diet because they don't eat enough fat. So you need to have enough fat in your diet, at least 1 gram per kg, if not 2. So fats are essential because they are necessary for production of hormones and also for vitamins, which are absolutely essential for your health, like vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E. They are all fat-soluble vitamins. So if you don't eat fat, they just cannot be transported and used in the body sufficiently. Now let me tell you a few words about who should not go on very low carbohydrate diets. There are people who cannot do it. So let's be transparent about it. Number one are beginners because they lack intensity and they risk energy deficit. So beginners are people who are just starting with training and they should be adapting to high intensity or rather low carb diet. They can't just jump into it. Most of the people, average people who start training, they are already on high carbohydrate diet without even knowing it. So it's very difficult for them to jump immediately into the low carbohydrate diet. So these people should start training slowly, still consuming X amount of carbohydrates, but as the time goes by, they should slowly start lowering carbohydrates and increasing protein. And the results will be immediate. They will immediately experience increase in muscle mass and decrease in body fat. So beginners should start with some carbohydrates, but not overdoing it. Also, athletes who are doing endurance and cardio plus weights, if you are, for whatever reason, doing weights, but your main training is endurance type and cardio, you are in different sports, you may consider higher amount of carbohydrates because low carbohydrate diet is not going to work for you. Also, individuals who have very fast metabolism and they need high they have high calorie needs, they should consider eating carbohydrates because simply if they need 10,000 calories a day, for example, they will be very difficult to get them only from protein. So they may consider taking extra carbs simply as fillers to the caloric intake, which is necessary for them. And also people who are unable, for whatever reasons, to maintain high protein intake. So this group of people should avoid low carbohydrate diet. So then low carb is best situated for who then? Obviously, advanced bodybuilders, people who are really serious about building muscle and burning fat, meaning staying lean year-round, seeing their six-pack, having their quad split. These people are actually suited for high-protein, low-carb diet. Also, people with insulin resistance should consider this diet as well. Also, people who prefer rather high fat than high carbs, this is perfect for them. High protein, medium fat diet will be fantastic. Also, people who are overweight or obese, this diet, high protein, medium fat or low fat, low carbs, is perfect for people who want to burn body fat. So if you are natural or enhanced, regardless, and you are not tight, you are not in good shape year-round, this diet is absolute must for you. There is no other way. You can do countless hours of cardio, but that is not going to happen unless you change your diet. You will change your hormonal balance and switch your metabolic processes into rather fat-burning mode rather than glucose or carbohydrate burning mode. So if you start relying on your body fat, you will start burning body fat. If you still eat carbohydrates, that is not going to happen. So if you want to get tight, if you want to lose fat, as most of you probably want, then this diet is perfect for you. And not to mention, obviously, people who want to compete and improve their conditioning. Everybody knows that before every competition, whoever you are, professional, intermediate, when you start cutting carbohydrates, you get in better shape. So why not stay in shape for the rest of your life, every year, every day, instead of being fat in the off-season, as most of the people do, and then I'm getting ready for the show. They start 3-4 months, sometimes 5 months before the show. Why? Because they're fat. So they compete, they get shredded, they look amazing, And then after that, they just get fat. Within a week or two, you cannot recognize them. They just double. Their face doubles like a big moon face. Fat everywhere on the legs, on the buttocks, on the belly. Oh, now I'm bulking. I mean, absolute nonsense. I personally find it idiotic to do this, to do damage to yourself in order to undo the damage 3, 4, 5 months before the show. So why you are doing this year after year? That doesn't make any sense. It's just irrational. But this is the way it is, because people like to please themselves and see probably the biggest pleasure in life in eating carbohydrates. And as you know, this is unavoidable, and this has been the story for decades and decades now. So let me give you a practical low-carb meal strategy. So let's take, for example, average day in which you're going to eat around 100 carbs or less, 100 grams of carbs or less per day. So let's say you have whole eggs and steak in the morning. Then next meal should be chicken breast with olive oil. Then pre-workout, maybe you have a whey isolate and maybe a bit of carbs, 20, 30 grams of carbs, like rice cakes. Post-workout, you can have again whey and again some maybe a few rice cakes, just a certain amount of carbs. And let's say for dinner you have some fish, let's say mackerel or lean meat with avocado. And this is very simple diet. So as you can see, whole eggs, steak, chicken, fish, whey isolate. This is the main structure of the main components of your low-carb diet. And a few rice cakes here and there, maybe you can have a banana or something. They will be still under 100 grams of carbs, and you will have enough fat and enough protein to give your body everything that is absolutely essential for muscle growth and fat loss. So now the common mistakes on a low carbohydrate diet, as I mentioned in the video, the dangers of high protein diets, are number one, eating low carb, then low fat, and not enough protein. And this is absolutely disaster. Many times people that I have advised to switch their diet and cut carbohydrates have done that, but by cutting carbohydrates, they didn't increase protein. So if they were on 100, 150 grams of protein a day, maybe 50 grams of fat, and 300, 400 grams of carbs, when they cut their carbs to, let's say, 100, they literally feel exhausted after 2-3 days. And they come back and say, oh, I cut the carbs. Absolutely. I have no energy, brain fog. I can't think. I can't concentrate. I'm irritated. I feel really, really bad. Of course you're going to feel bad because you just cut your carbs, but didn't increase protein and fat. So instead of upping protein maybe to 300 and fat to 150 grams and ending up with 50 grams of carbs, they are still now on 150 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, and 100 grams of carbs. So you basically cut your caloric intake in half. Any diet that you do that is just going to kill you. So this is the number one thing. If you go on a low-carb diet, you have to increase your protein and your fat intake. Also, too much cardio. People are cutting their carbs and then doing cardio, right? So if you cut your carbs, you've done enough to start burning body fat. If you increase your protein, you've done enough to increase your muscle mass. So if you increase your muscle mass, you will be burning more fat anyway. So if you decrease your carbohydrate intake, you will be burning fat like never before. So you don't need to do extra cardio, because extra cardio is just going to tire you. Every type of activity is a stress for the body. Cardio, especially if it's done wrongly, is going to force your body to produce a lot of cortisol, which is the fat accumulating hormone. Not just fat accumulating, but muscle eating, muscle catabolic hormone. So you don't want cortisol in your body at all. Therefore, that so-called cardio should be completely avoided. I advise people to have 2 or 3 long walks outside, outdoors, medium pace, for different benefits, but not for fat loss. Fat loss has nothing to do with cardio. This is the biggest nonsense ever invented in fitness industry. If you want to burn fat, you have to cut your carbs and increase your muscle mass. And you're doing that by increasing your protein intake and decreasing your carbohydrates. And again, another mistake is to go on low-carb diet, but then immediately switch to low-intensity workout. So that is not going to work again because you're not stimulating muscle growth. So as I mentioned in the beginning, you need to train with high intensity, increase your protein, and decrease your carbohydrates. Let me tell you something very important when it comes down to your metabolic health. High carbs increase your insulin level, and a high insulin level suppresses autophagy. And autophagy is the natural process of the body cleaning itself from all dead cells, sick cells, degenerated cells, mutated cells. So autophagy is something that is a natural mechanism of your body for survival and cleansing of all unnecessary, possibly very damaging and very dangerous cells in your body. So if you suppress autophagy by increasing your insulin levels, you're doing very bad things. So high carbs are not helping you there. Also, low-carb diet improves fat oxidation and cellular health. So low-carb diet, your autophagy goes in uninterrupted. Autophagy is not only happening when you are fasting, but also when you're eating low-carb diet because you're keeping your insulin low and during your high-intensity workouts. So not only fasting, but low insulin, meaning low carbs, and high-intensity workouts. So your body is permanently running autophagy. So imagine how good that is for your metabolic health. And clearly, high-intensity training triggers mTOR, and which is a mechanic target of ribomycin, and which is the most important, mTOR is the most important protein, which is directly triggering muscle growth. So high intensity, high protein, low carb, again, unbeatable when it comes to your metabolic health, and again, muscle growth and fat loss. So let me summarize this for you now. And you can build muscles and burn fat on low carb. Protein intake and intensity training are far more important than carbohydrates. The body can replenish carbohydrates as glycogen without eating carbs. So, as I mentioned, the gluconeogenesis is the process which liver performs and turns protein, amino acids, and glycerol from fat into glycogen. So don't worry about glycogen. Just worry about high intensity, high protein, medium fat, low carb diet. Carbs, carbohydrates, even if you have them, understand them as a tool because they're absolutely not a requirement. They're not essential. Therefore, you don't have to eat them. You can carry on, as I do, for months, if you want, for years, without any carbohydrates, and you will end up in fantastic shape without hours of cardio, without all these fat-burning medications or supplements. You don't need that. All you need is to follow the diet that will turn your body into muscle-building, fat-burning machine. Most of the greatest physiques, as I mentioned, have been built on high protein, medium fat, low carb diet, and high intensity training. So, guys, I hope that you have got a message and that you will consider adjusting your diet, which will help you to build muscle and burn fat simultaneously without killing yourself on treadmill or on a bicycle, and actually have a great body every single day of the year, every year of your life. You don't have to be in shape only when you compete. You can be in shape throughout the year, 24/7. So let me remind you once again that I have published 10 ebooks, which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything you wanted to know in bodybuilding, especially considering this subject. Books like The Ultimate Nutrition, Feed the Muscle, Not the Fat, and Bodybuilding, weight training. All these books are full of detailed explanations how to do it in order to achieve the best shape of your life. So if you want to enrich your knowledge, then simply click on the link in the comments and you can access my ebooks. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, like the video and send me your comments, and I will see you in the next video.